From Allen Iverson kicking himself for not listening to Coach Larry Brown, to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson regretting the same moment from 2016, here are the biggest regrets from NBA players. Starting with Allen Iverson, easily one of the most influential players to play the sport. Iverson's a former MVP and was responsible for bringing the hip-hop culture to the NBA. Everyone wanted to see him ball. And while he was never able to win a ring in his career, you'd be surprised to know that not winning the championship isn't his biggest regret. Yep, that's right, folks. For Iverson, the one thing he could change by going back in time would be to listen more to his coach Larry Brown in the early part of his career. You see, Ivy had a number of very public spats with Brown. When AI reflects back on all that he did in the NBA, he feels that there was a lot more to achieve. And he's not the only one who feels that way. All he needed to do was listen to his coach. Now, he's told all the young fans out there to never make that mistake. And he understands that it was his fault for thinking he knew best. Ivy revealed that as soon as he realized that both of them, his coach and himself, were on the same page, he started listening to Brown and his career changed dramatically. If only. Talking about players that played in the 2001 NBA Finals, how about Big Shaq and everything that he regrets? Yeah, even a four-time NBA champ has a lot to regret at the end of his career, but to be fair, given Shaq's tremendous ability, most other fans and analysts feel the same way too. A lot of people believe that if he'd worked even half as hard as Kobe did, he'd be sitting on at least 6 or 7 rings and more MVP awards too. As far as dominant peaks go, few players have done it like he did. But Shaq's biggest regret isn't winning more. It's how he missed 5,000 free throws, how he didn't pass Wilt Chamberlain in career points, and how he isn't higher up on the all-time scoring list. These are very realistic regrets from Shaq, who's known for speaking out a bit too much at times. The legendary center revealed how he knew he won't be able to pass Wilt when he got that injury, and how it changed everything for him. As far as free throws go, that's down to not working hard enough on them. Maybe an extra 5 minutes every day would have resulted in 1,000, maybe 2,000 more. Oh, well, it's too late now. Same goes for another former NBA champion, Dirk Nowitzki, who opened up on something he wished he hadn't done. Having been one of the most impressive imports of talent in the NBA, Nowitzki was a joy to watch. He changed the game in many ways, but the German revealed that he does have a couple of regrets at the end of his glorious career. He talked about how the final 2 seasons of his career ended up doing a lot more damage than good, and if he could go back in time, he'd retire 2 years earlier than he actually did. This is a very honest admission from Dirk Diggler, because many players tend to overstay their welcome in the NBA. It must be incredibly difficult to leave behind something you've done all your life, but not going out when the time is right can be very dangerous. For Nowitzki, it's the injuries that make him regret his decision. He's had his left ankle operated on, but talked about how there are days when he just can't move at all due to the pain. And that's when he sits down and asks himself if those last 2 years in Dallas were really worth it. But the one thing worse than not leaving when your time is up is being greedy with contracts. That brings me to what Latrell Sprewell did. As far as regrets go, I'm not sure it gets bigger than this, but it's also a wonderful lesson as to why greed is a big evil. At the beginning of his career, Sprewell was considered the next Jordan. Of course, many others with that tag failed, and while he didn't live up to the expectations either, he had the chance of, at least, building a successful career. You see, Sprewell was trying to escape his violent past, and the NBA was the perfect platform to do so. In the 90s, when scoring was a lot tougher than it is now, Sprewell was scoring for fun, averaging over 21 points, and his slashing style got him a whole host of fans, too. As good as he looked on court, there were many issues with him on the inside. He had some serious anger issues, and one of his outbursts in training cost him his career. Latrell got into an infamous altercation with his coach, PJ Carlesimo, with Sprewell grabbing his coach's throat and threatening to kill him. As you'd expect, he was immediately shipped out of the NBA with his 4-year contract worth $31 million getting binned. It cost him his deal with Converse, too. And yet, somehow, he still got another chance, with a $21 million contract on the table with the Timberwolves. But Sprewell rejected the offer, because he deemed it too low. This remains one of the biggest mistakes in NBA history. He wasn't offered another contract, and his career came to an end. Fast forward a few years, Sprewell declared bankruptcy. But he's not the only one to reject a big contract and regret it. The same happened to Dennis Schroeder. Okay, this one is truly hilarious, and another reason why greed is never the answer. You see, Schroeder had a great 2019-20 season-ending runner-up for the 6th Man of the Year. That got the Lakers thinking, and with 1 year left on his contract, the Lake Show wanted to sign him to a lucrative extension. Reportedly, the 17-time NBA champions offered an $84 million contract to him over 4 years. That's no joke. It comes to around $21 million per year. Who could possibly say no to that? Well, the hype around Schroeder was big time back then, and he believed he could get a $100 million offer in free agency. Before that could happen, though, his lackluster play resulted in his value plummeting, and the Lakers decided to invest elsewhere, getting former MVP Russell Westbrook as their new PG. Wait, before you say that it didn't work out any better for the Lakers, allow me to remind you that Schroeder, only a couple of years later, ended up wearing the purple and gold in Los Angeles on a minimum contract worth less than $3 million per year. Embarrassing. As far as regrets go, this should be up there. Honestly, it seems like making poor decisions is kinda a thing for point guards. I'm talking about Kyrie Irving, of course. I understand how easy it is to get carried away when you're at the top. So many others experienced a similar fate before Kyrie, and many more will do the same after him too. At least, he's got the ability to reflect back and acknowledge his mistakes, so good for him. Back in 2017, the Cavaliers had the perfect team in the NBA. They had what it took to challenge the Golden State Warriors dynasty, and Kyrie was very much the second biggest name on that roster after LeBron James. But like everyone else on this list, Kyrie wanted more. He wasn't happy being a second star in Cleveland and wanted to achieve a lot more in his career. It's good to be ambitious, but there are worse things than being the second best on a team with the greatest player of all time. Irving, though, realized his mistake way too late. His relationship with LeBron got strained, and Irving left for greener pastures in 2017, signing with the Celtics. Of course, though, grass only seems greener on the other side of the fence, and he had to see a much depleted Cavs side make the finals the following year. Ever since his exit, though, Kyrie hasn't been to the finals. So much for ambition, but every time you talk about Kyrie, you've got to mention the shot. And that brings us to the biggest regret that both the Splash Brothers have. The shot in the 2016 NBA Finals capped the greatest comeback in NBA history, and for the Warriors, that's the worst moment in their franchise history. Klay Thompson, known for his clutch shots, is also a tremendous perimeter defender, but he regrets giving into the switch and how much it burns him to this day. His splash brother, Steph Curry, isn't any different. For him, it's the pass from behind the back that he threw in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals, which cost the Warriors big time as it trickled out, with Kyrie making the shot. So, from the Splash Brothers ruining Game 7 in 2016, to Allen Iverson kicking himself for not listening to Larry Brown early on in his career, these were the NBA players' biggest regrets.